and welcome to Out of the Fog. I'm Roberta Hewitt, and I am so thrilled to be here during this 20th season of Out of the Fog as a special guest host. On tonight's show, I'll be speaking with Kevin Andrews, who's a local psychic medium, Judith Royle, who is a spiritual teacher and a life coach, and cluing up with Amanda Dawe, owner-operator of the Natural Emporium. And she and I will be talking tarot, which is one of my favorite subjects. And we're going to even be picking tarot cards. Maybe you'll get a chance to pick one too. Stay tuned for all of that. We'll be right back on Out of the Fog.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hi, I'm Carl Wells, getting ready to record another edition of Carl Wells Point to Point. It's a program where I chat with members of our community, and they talk candidly about their lives and careers, from their earliest dreams to their greatest triumphs. I think you'll find it informative and entertaining. Please join us for Carl Wells Point to Point, right here on Rogers TV.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hi, and welcome back to Out of the Fog. I am so excited to have a conversation now with my first guest, who is local psychic medium, Kevin Andrews. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Kevin, so I mentioned that you're a psychic medium, but you're also kind of an academic, and you're an educator.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, who would think, right? You know, I think at a very young age, I wasn't really into the mediumship at all, and more so than anything else, I think I was very intuitive to people's thoughts and feelings. And I guess as time progressed, you know, I kind of got a little fascinated with the mediumship thing, more so for watching the mediums and sort of learning how they do their readings and the type of structure, more so than getting a reading itself. And you know, that kind of takes me up to around 2015 when I had a chance reading by psychic medium James Van Prague.
Oh.
And so he brought through my grandmother, who pretty much said, you know, you are a medium, you should certainly pursue it, look into it. You're a healer by nature, and not to be afraid. And I think, you know, since that day, things aligned and people came into my life, and teachers stepped into my life to help me out and guide me, and which has certainly brought me here to where I am now.
Kevin, that's amazing. And what I love about that is that, you know, when you talk to some of these mediums, they were born with it or they've always had it, but you're someone who got involved sort of later and you learned the skill. So it really is something. You think anyone could do that?
Absolutely. I think, you know, like anyone can learn to play the piano, right? There are people who have, you know, can certainly play better than others, but if you practice, like anybody, I think we all have an intuitive ability, and we can all tune in and get signs and symbols for sure.
So I guess we've gotten a little ahead of ourselves, so maybe we should talk about exactly what a medium is or does.
Sure. A medium, and again, there's different flavors and different types of things that mediums do, but you know, by and large, a medium will connect to somebody who's passed and bring through validations and feelings and their personality to the people who are still here, to sort of let them know that they're still around and they're still aware of the life that they're living.
That's so nice. So what would a typical session with you sort of look like, if you could talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. You know, for me, before the session even starts, I think I really have to spend a little bit of time getting grounded and sort of, I guess, looking into meditating and breathing. Then I make contact with the client itself. And usually, you know, since COVID, I've been doing most of my readings online or over the phone. And so once we connect and we get started, the session is usually 45 minutes to 60 minutes long, and a lot of different messages come through to help the person who's still around heal and move on. You know, I guess from my perspective, I kind of look like, or I kind of see it as a rock concert. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not what you think. Give me a second to explain. Usually when you think of a rock concert, you know, it's you've got the opening acts and then you've got the main act. And so from my perspective, you know, I kind of see some spirits coming in who are connected to the client itself, but, you know, not really important in their lives. And then as the reading progresses, I usually find that the person who they're hoping for come through will then come through as sort of the main act. And then towards the end of the reading, then usually everyone who stepped forward are providing some healing messages for the person who is still here to sort of be inspired by and move on with.
So what are some typical kinds of messages that you're receiving?
You know, there's definitely a theme that goes through a lot of my readings, and that theme connects usually with love and with healing. So you know, when I bring through messages for different people, it's usually to help them cope and deal and move on in their lives. But I'm also finding too that there's a connection with the person who's passed, and there's also a little bit of healing when it comes to your soul. And you know, we kind of think when somebody passes that they don't keep all of the garbage that they picked up throughout their whole life, and they usually still take that with them. So being able to connect and probably have a last word or have a last message to the person is definitely healing, not only for the people who are here, but also the people who've passed on a soul level. I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, I did a reading for a young lady whose mom passed. And they were both, I think, throughout their lives dealing with a lot of depression. And the healing messages that I was able to bring through to her really helped her sort of cope and deal and move on in her life. And, you know, she contacted me a little later after the reading and said that, you know, if it wasn't for those messages, right, I wouldn't be where I am today. And, you know, at the end, she kind of said, you know, not only do I feel a little better, but I get a sense that my mom, who's passed, feels better because of it too. So there's definitely a connection there for sure.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I talk to a lot of people when I'm doing card readings, and they're always looking for messages from their loved ones who have passed on. And we talk about common signs like dimes and feathers. Can you speak a little to those types of messages?
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, you know, when I speak to my clients and they ask, you know, can I, how can I do it myself, type of thing? Because I really say to them, you know, you don't really need to come to a medium. You can certainly do it yourself. And you know, dreams are really important when it comes to that, because we're kind of asleep. Our analytical mind is kind of taking a step back. And if you end up having a really vivid dream of a loved one who's passed, it's a good chance that that's their opportunity to come in just to say hello and let you know that they're around, right? So dreams are definitely really important. Right.
I've had a couple of dreams of a friend of mine who has passed, and I always wake up just feeling so much better and so much more connected to her. And I do believe she has dropped by to say hi, and that means everything.
It does, especially if someone doesn't get a reading or they're not too sure. You know, I say to my clients, just say an affirmation before you go to bed that you'd like for them to come in your dreams, and something usually happens, you know. So it's something that's, dreaming is really important for sure, right?
So Kevin, if someone wanted to get in touch with you and maybe book an appointment, how would they go about doing that?
So I'm online at kevinandrews.net, so you can go to my website and read some information there and even book a reading if you wanted to. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/KevinAndrewsMedium. And I'm also on Twitter as well, so you can follow me at Kevin Andrews.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Kevin. This is so fascinating.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back with more Out of the Fog.
It all started when I racked up some serious debt. Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. Janes and Noseworthy came up with a plan. Knowing that the phone was going to stop ringing and that I was not in this alone was a huge relief. Bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or whatever help you get is not the end. It's just the beginning. A chance to start again with knowledge and support and people in your corner. Are you ready? Get out of debt. It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
It was our 35th anniversary. To celebrate, we were on our way to Mama Rosie's, where we had our first date. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and listened. It helped us get to safety. So when I think of our anniversary, because now we have even more to celebrate.
Welcome back to Out of the Fog. Right now, I am here with Judith Royle. Judith is a naturopath. She's a spiritual teacher. She's a medium. Judith is any number of things, and I'm so excited to have you on Out of the Fog, Judith. You're like a spiritual powerhouse in this province.
Oh, thank you, and it's lovely being with you again, Roberta.
Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit off the top about your brand. And you are all about be the power of your potential.
Correct.
What exactly does that mean?
I think when all is said and done, we don't realize how powerful we are. And so what we found in the last 2 years, especially, is that we really do need to step into our light and our power. But sometimes we just don't know how to do that, and we get stuck.
Right, and so you help people get unstuck, because you're also a life coach.
Yes.
And how do you do that, Judith?
Well, there are a variety of ways, and actually I've just added many modalities to my toolkit. So I basically specialize in what you might call coaching packages, and that can be any number of sessions. And what I do is whoever I work with, it depends on what I do with them. There are different ways of meeting people's needs. So basically we have to take a look at what is the need to begin with, and then work through that. And so in the long run, they're off to the races and living a new life.
So Judith, some of the other services that you offer include things like past life regression. You also do meditation groups. How important do you think meditation is to people, especially now when we're all so stressed out?
It's key. It is really key. It's the best way that we can ground ourselves, connect with our souls, our higher self, connect with the divine. It's a way of slowing down the outside world and actually paying attention to what it is that we need to be focusing on. Our daily lives are very busy. We've been under a lot of stress, and our thoughts and our minds are very fragmented, so this is a way to bring it all together.
And have you been noticing that lately people are more in need of spiritual guidance than ever?
Oh my, yes. And you know, it's not just people out there, it's all of us. All of us are needing a sense of spiritual guidance. And I think one of the major things that we need to take a look at is community. We cannot do it alone. We need each other to help each other up. And we need to surround ourselves with people who inspire and uplift us. That's crucial.
That's beautiful. And you're absolutely right. The impact other people's energy have on us. If you're in a toxic environment, it's so hard to just sit in meditation and go, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm better now. And so I think someone like you, a spiritual guide, a coach, can help people really understand and utilize these tools rather than just sort of reading about them. And Judith, I understand you have a retreat coming up.
Yes.
I'd love to hear about that.
It's called Your Sovereign Heart. It's exploring your heart's intelligence. And I don't think we give our hearts enough credit sometimes. It's more intelligent than our brains sometimes. And basically what we're going to be taking a look at is, what is it that we need? If I asked you, well, what is it that you need and what is it that you want? You would probably say, I just want to be happy and I want to have peace. Well, that's all well and good, but what does that mean for you? So it's taking a look at that and then putting those pieces together. What are the boundaries that you need to put in place? How are we resilient in these uncertain times? There are all these little pieces that we bring them together so that we have hope. It gives us hope. Mm-hmm.
And hope's everything, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Judith, when is this workshop taking place, this retreat?
It's May 28th and 29th, and we're doing it in person out in Witless Bay and online, so it'll be both.
Okay, so then if you're not necessarily here, you can still attend and reap some of the benefits.
And even if you're coming in from outside the province or from the States, there are B&Bs around the area, so it's really quite a melting pot, you might say.
It sounds wonderful. So Judith, if someone wanted to know how to sign up for this retreat, or if they were interested in some of the other services that you provide, where could they find out about you?
Certainly on Facebook. I have my own personal page, Judith Royle. There's the Royle Treatment, where the events are listed. That's mainly my business page. On Instagram, Twitter, also my email address, which is info@royle, R-O-Y-L-E, treatmentwellness.com. So it's not hard to hunt me down.
You are accessible, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, Judith, thank you so much for coming in and having this chat with us. And certainly as someone who has availed of some of your services, I would highly recommend that people look you
thank
up
you.
and find out what you're all
You were
about.
a joy to work with, I have to say.
You're so kind. Thank you so much, Judith.
You are welcome.
And we will be right back with more Out of the Fog.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
And welcome back to Out of the Fog. Right now I have with me the owner-operator of the Natural Emporium in Churchill Square. It's Amanda Dawe. Hi, thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. And I'm so excited because today you and I are going to talk about tarot cards.
Our favorite subject.
It really is our favorite subject. And I have actually a oracle deck set up here, and a little later we're going to do a 3-card draw that viewers at home can play along with. But let's start by talking about some of the tarot decks that your store stocks.
Oh, it's my favorite part of the store. I love when someone comes in and they ask about the tarot, and sometimes they're a little bit nervous about it, you know, what deck should I start with? It can feel complicated, but it's so not. I always tell them to go with a deck that they feel drawn to, because that's what they're going to pick up, rather than something, you know, that they feel is complicated.
Right, and there's so many decks.
There's so many. So you can get a witchy deck, or a cat deck, or a crow deck, or Disney deck, you know. And then of course there is the OG, the original. I do love him. I really do. It's the Rider-Waite. It was 1909 when this guy came out.
Wow.
And there's oodles of wisdom in there. And the artwork is by a wonderful lady, Pamela Coleman Smith. I mean, so it's just the neatest deck, but a lot of people are kind of scared of that one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it is kind of old school. But the thing is, you'll learn from any of the decks because they all take from this guy.
Right. So can we go back to that guy?
Yeah.
Because when I started reading tarot almost 20 years ago, I'm really aging myself there, but I do not like that deck. I find the imagery in that deck a little scary and
Absolutely.
dark.
A lot of people do, really do. It's really interesting once you've owned like one of the other decks, like even the cat deck. You lay that one beside a Rider-Waite, you'll see where they drew on that imagery, and they just made it a little, sometimes softer, sometimes even, you know, darker, but the Rider is a beautiful, it just has so much wisdom in there, but it never needs to be part of your collection, for sure.
And it is not.
And it is not.
This is the closest I have ever gotten to the Rider-Waite deck. But that's okay.
That's okay. That's real okay, because you're going to learn on, it's all about opening your intuition anyways.
Right.
So no matter what the imagery was or what the purpose is, I always tell someone, like, pick a card. Like, start really simple, pick a card a day. and see what it means to you before you ever look at the book.
Right.
Because your intuition is more important than anything that is going to, the book is going to say. And then very often when you do look at the book and the meaning, it will be like, oh, that was spot on.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are really scared of the death card.
No need to be scared of the death card. We love new beginnings. So the death card, it really is very rarely as bad as it sounds. It's usually that something is going to be let go in your life that needs to go.
Transformation is the word I always use.
It really could be. It could be, the death of the job that you've been wanting to move on from.
Right.
And, with the cat tarot, it's very funny. The death card is actually a vacuum cleaner, so tarot can be whimsical too, right?
I love that.
So it's just getting the point across. And the tower is another card people are scared of. And
I don't like
things
that
are
one.
collapsing. But again, it's new beginnings. And the other thing to always remember is that we always have agency over what we do in our life. So if the cards show you a path and you're like, oh, I do feel I am on that path. Well, sometimes it's just about opening our intuition to say, oh, maybe it's time for me to change and make changes so I go to a different path.
Right, and you can't avoid certain things.
Oh, totally.
And some people, they take it as a self-fulfilling prophecy that if I give them a message from the cards that they think, okay, that's it, this has to happen, and it doesn't.
And that's where their focus goes. And sometimes we can make it happen. And that could be a good thing, when we focus on something and set our intentions. But, if it's something we don't want, it's just about opening up to see that we might be on that path, but we can absolutely change it. Another thing that happens a lot is getting the same card over and over. And it's like, what? So I always used to get the devil card, and I was like, what in my life is the devil? And I would look externally, what is it? And finally one day I thought, you know what, it's my own thoughts. I can't do this. Who am I? What am I doing? This isn't, those negative self-talk. And after I realized that, I never got the devil card.
Amazing.
I know. So it really is just, sometimes we have the same thoughts over and over in our head. And when we do a tarot reading, it can switch something so that we have that different thought and a different way of looking, a perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
How about we do a little mini reading right now?
Let's do it.
Okay. So there are 3 cards here in front of me, 3 decks, but I always look at the bottom. Yeah. So why don't you take a moment and think if you want card 1, 2, or 3, and perhaps the viewers as well can take a breath and figure out if they're picking card 1, 2, or 3, and then let's interpret them.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's go with number 2 first.
Okay. You're picking number 2.
I am.
Okay. Well, we're going to start with number 1 because I have to go in sequence. So let's have a look here. Okay. So number 1, stuck energy. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
He's a little stuck. I think he ran out of gas. Or, went off the road.
And in the rider, that would be probably the tower. It could be where your energy is stuck and you need to let go of something. Something needs to collapse to get that energy moving.
To be released, right?
Absolutely. Poor little trout.
I feel for him.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's fine. Card 2. This one's yours. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Deserving.
Oh, see, there goes back to the devil card of the undeserved. Like, oh, who am I?
And feeling like you don't deserve good things. So if you chose that card, it's important to accept and allow the good things to come into your life and know that you are worthy and that you do deserve that.
That's beautiful. And look at the imagery. Even before reading the words, when you take a moment to look at the imagery, it says so much.
Right. You feel it.
You feel
what the card is trying to tell you. Oh, and the last card, coincidentally enough, transformation. There's your death card right there. Exactly. It's not scary at all.
No, we need that. We need room for new beginnings.
Change, right?
Change, exactly. It can be scary, but it's often the greatest thing that can happen to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Amanda, let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you offer at the Natural Emporium. What else have you got there?
Oh, I have all kinds of gemstones and crystals, and we have Oracle and Tarot, so if someone wants to go with the Oracle route. We have lots of books and lots of giftware. Oh, what don't we have?
Well, I've also purchased some really lovely candles.
Yes.
And some incense.
Yes, that's right, exactly. I like to set the Emporium up. It's like It's a place to come in when you just need that lift, you know. And if you do buy a tarot and it's your first tarot deck, we have a bell. So just tell me it's your first tarot and I will ring the bell because it's a beautiful new journey.
It's a celebration.
It is a
right?
celebration, absolutely.
I took my goddaughter in, and now she always asks, she's 10, and she'll say, Auntie Rob, when are we going back to the witchy store? I want to see Amanda.
Oh, I love it. I love when children come in because they're so connected. They go right to the stones usually, and they're like, no, this is the one. I need this one. It's so beautiful. They feel the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amanda, this was amazing. So let's tell people where to find you if they want to come meet you in person or visit your store.
Absolutely. I'm in Churchill Square. The square is growing. Come on, get a coffee at one place and lunch at another and come see me after. Yay. So we're in Churchill Square, and you can find me on Instagram as well, Emporium on the Square, and on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This was such fun.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
Welcome back, and thanks for watching tonight's episode of Out of the Fog. Special thanks to my guests, Kevin Andrews, Judith Royle, and Amanda Dawe. And thank you for watching. Have a great night.
If you have a comment about this program,